Well, everybody, we have reached the end of February here in 2023, which means it is now time for another animation news roundup. And I am not joking when I say the news that we have today is probably the best example of everything that's wrong in the animation world right now, and honestly, the entertainment industry as a whole. We only have 3 news topics. I picked them, you saw the thumbnail and all that. And each one is like a perfect little sliver of just all the mistakes that have been piling up over the last year or so in this industry. All the questions, all the dumb decisions. That's what we're talking about today. And it's just the month of February now in 2023. And the world of animation has not been off to a great start for 2023. If you had to ask me the state of everything right now, there's a couple wins with stuff like Hi-Fi Rush, Koala Man releasing, or even Puss in Boots: The Last Wish doing so well. But other than that, I would say it's been a pretty shaky year for animation fans, with Inside Job getting canceled, with another big project getting canceled that we're actually talking about today, with releases of shows that frankly everyone hated but somehow are still getting money, which we're also going to touch on. And of course, the classic rehashes of things that were already good and beloved for no reason other than making money. And get this, also talking about that today. So without further ado, let's get into this. Our first news topic is probably the one people want to hear the most about, and also the one I have to say the least about, so we'll just get it out of the way. That Scooby-Doo spin-off TV show, Velma, you guys remember that? I only watched 4 episodes of it and thought it was awful, so I stopped. Like a normal person who was watching a terrible show that's releasing like bi-weekly or whatever, and after you realize you don't like it, you stop so they don't make more of it. Yeah, it turns out not everyone did that. So Velma currently has a 2nd season in development. However, this 2nd season of Velma has not been renewed yet. They're working on it, and they'll probably have like a little pitch, a little something like, hey, maybe people will come back for this. But it hasn't been officially renewed yet. So if you hear people saying like, oh, it's official, it's coming back, not true. At this point in time, at the time of recording this video, they're just in the process of developing it. And if you know anything about the Inside Job situation over at Netflix, just because you're working on a new season of a TV show, especially now, does not mean it's going to get made, even after you've been renewed. In the case of Inside Job, Velma hasn't even been renewed, but Inside Job was renewed and got canceled, and Velma has not been renewed and is seemingly making another season. Of course, you can draw lines all you want, but this is just how things work sometimes. Again, I will be shocked if this show does in fact get a 2nd season, because this whole model of what made Velma successful or made HBO Max some money, or however you want to define it, this whole setup really only works once. It's the shock and awe factor. It's the wanting to show up to the car wreck, to watch the burning rubble and all that stuff. You can't have that same effect in a 2nd season. People aren't going to show up to the shit show twice after having to sit through it once already, because they're expecting the same thing. And guess what? There's new shit shows coming out pretty much weekly on this planet. So why should we stay tuned for a 2nd rehashed season of your shit show, Velma? And the easy answer is we shouldn't, and it will be a gigantic failure unless they really right the ship and create something that's entertaining, well thought out, with consistent characters. They have the animation there. The animation is really great, but the people working behind the scenes, the writing staff, they are just not bringing their A game to that series. And I stand by that 100%. I do not intend to go back past the first 4 episodes that I watched, unless there is like some serious outcry from people in the comments or something saying like, no, it gets really good or it's really entertaining. If people comment below and they're like, oh, it's really bad, you should watch it, I'm not gonna watch it. All right, I've sat through enough bad TV shows. I don't want to sit through one that is seemingly using its badness as a marketing tool. I'm not gonna service it in that way. There are plenty of shows I'll sit through in their entirety to get the full gist of them and try to give them a really good fair shake. And there's a bunch of different kind of things that go into that. If they're dropped as a whole series right away, I'll binge watch it and I'll do a review of it shortly after, so people know whether or not to sit down and binge watch all of it. But if a show is seemingly using everything wrong about it to market itself as a reason to watch it, it's like, you should watch this because it's bad. I don't want to watch it. I want to watch a show that people think is good, you know, and then critique it from that standpoint. In my mind, in my heart of hearts, I know that the people working on Velma probably tried their very best in the writing department. That's a very big possibility. If it is, good God, I don't want to see what them not trying is. But if they really did try their hardest and this is what they got out, then it's a marketing problem for me. I think that they're putting their bad foot forward on purpose to get people outraged to watch their show. And I think they're going to try to repeat that same formula for a second season, and I'm not going to support that kind of behavior. It's the same kind of thing you see with like Asylum movies, if you're a fan of bad B movies, bad like really low budget stuff, like Sharknado movies that are made to be bad, but funny bad, like that stuff has never worked for me, and that's kind of what Velma feels like. So I'm gonna leave it there. I really didn't think I'd be talking about that show again, but here we are. I guess we'll see if it gets a second season. Rest in peace, Inside Job. Rest in peace. Agent Elvis is coming. We'll probably get 9 seasons, and Velma's working on their second. Oh boy, into the next news story. This one actually has to do with Netflix and one of my favorite music groups, animated music groups to be specific, the Gorillaz. The Gorillaz, for those of you who don't know, as I just said, awesome music group. They're an animated band. It's kind of strange, but if you're a fan of animation or just really great music, honestly, you should check out the Gorillaz. They're pretty damn cool. I have one of their albums up on the wall. I don't know if the camera will... It won't catch it. It's right above Tyler, the Creator's Igor up there. It's the Now Now by the Gorillaz. I'm a very big fan of these guys and have been for a very long time. And as a fan of this musical group, there have been talks for years about a Gorillaz movie, and I have been present for these talks. I have been excited about them. And this is one of those things kind of like the Akira live action remake, if you remember that from back in the day, where it's like, it's always in the works, it's always in talks, but it never really gets there. There's a bunch of stuff like that that gets caught in kind of a development hell. Deadpool's kind of an example of that, I think, that was kind of stuck there for a bit. But the Gorillaz movie had always been there, and we finally got a chance with Netflix, but Netflix decided to cancel the project in the great animation purge of the 2020s, as it will become known in the future. Boy, oh boy, am I disappointed about this decision. Frankly, I don't know what this movie would have looked like, but if it had the Gorillaz in it and Gorillaz music, I'm sure it would have been entertaining in some regard. It's genuinely that good of a band. I think their music is that good. And the animation quality, the people they work with, is always top notch. I remember back in the day watching a Gorillaz music video from Fortiche Studios, I believe is how you say the name. I talk about this in the review of a certain show called Arcane. That's right, the people who animated Arcane once did a Gorillaz music video that is awesome. I think it was Saturn's Bars, something like that. But this is just my way of saying that the people behind Gorillaz, the guy that made it, that made the virtual band, it's hard to talk about because they're a virtual band, but one guy made it, but they work with people all the time. I'll talk about them as the Royal We. The Gorillaz, as a group, that group of animated characters made by a guy, they seem to have a very good eye for picking out animation studios, art styles. They just have this knack for creating something new with each release that's really visually and audibly interesting. And so for them to not get a movie is a big double thumbs down in my book. I don't like that one bit. I was really looking forward to a Gorillaz movie, but it's just one more canceled project to put on the shelf and wonder what could have been. Just like, hey, Inside Job, remember that one? We're still talking about that because I'm still dumbfounded by that decision. And hey, we can even throw Phone Bone on in there for the Bone TV series that got canceled. And for our last news story of the month, there is going to be a live action How to Train Your Dragon remake from DreamWorks, from the same director as the previous trilogy. Why? Why are we doing that? That doesn't make any sense to me whatsoever. It has not been anywhere near long enough. The movies still look great and people still love them, and it hasn't been anywhere near long enough. This is insane to me to make this decision. We all know why this decision is being made by DreamWorks. Because it made Disney a lot of money when they did it, but people still hated that shit. This is the lowest of the low. This is the low point in my mind when it comes to the world of animation. People are literally trying to milk nostalgia dry in these big companies. People at Disney are the best at it. Disney is the master of taking things people remember fondly and turning them into a shell of themselves, but having just enough references with the music and a few characters to keep you engaged so that you keep giving them money to see more. Disney is the masters, and now DreamWorks is the apprentice, as it usually was, as it were in the past, as they say. If you're bringing back the same director, it means you're most likely going to have the exact same score, the exact same story, the exact same vision and direction. Why not give it to someone new and ask them to do something new with it? Oh, I know why. Because it's a cash grab. Honestly, I would be A-okay with this if they came out and said, we're doing a live action How to Train Your Dragon. We're giving it to some new guy, some new person in the industry, some new director, and this director is going to impart their vision upon it. You get like a really visionary, get David Lynch. Get David Lynch's How to Train Your Dragon. Or Dennis Villanueva? I don't know the guy who directed Dune and Blade Runner 2049. And I think Looper, or no, that was Rian Johnson. Get Rian Johnson, maybe. It'd probably suck if you got Rian Johnson. I like him, but it'd probably suck if you got Rian Johnson. But get someone new. Get fresh ideas. Even if you're using the same premise, all that same stuff, you could get someone new in there to create kind of a different feeling movie, a really different vibe. But they don't want that. What they want is to rehash the exact same thing over and over and over again for money. And if you're buying into this stuff, you are stupid. I'm sorry. It's the truth. Stop it. It already exists. In most cases, these people that are hyped up and excited about these remade movies are already excited about the thing that already exists, like The Lion King that gets remade, or like Mulan that gets remade, or in this case, How to Train Your Dragon. I love How to Train Your Dragon. Those movies are very near and dear to me. They're part of the reason I got into making YouTube videos, because when I first saw that first movie in the theaters, my brain exploded. It was the coolest thing I had ever seen, and I went on my little like notebook computer that was like $110 that I got as a hand-me-down. I remember Googling stuff for hours at night trying to find out as much as I could about how they made that movie, how it got put together, who was a part of it. I love that first film and the two after it. I think it's a great trilogy, and I think rehashing it this soon after the release just shows what DreamWorks' real priorities are. Right after the release of Puss in Boots: The Last Wish, which was really, really good, everyone's getting excited, they decide to go in this direction. It's just stupid, and people need to stop feeding into it. Enough! Move on! Once you become an adult, there's some things, yeah, that you look back on and you're nostalgic for. I'm nostalgic for How to Train Your Dragon. I'll admit it. There's a bunch of stuff I'm nostalgic for. Hell, even Star Wars I'm a bit nostalgic for. But I'm an adult now. And most of the people who have watched that stuff are adults now. And when you become an adult, you have to accept the fact that some companies are going to try to take advantage of your memories for money. That's what they're doing. And you can't let them do it because I know it's easy just to go, oh yeah, I remember that. I should go relive that a little bit with something new, but also worse. I know that's tempting. It's stupid though. It's empty. It's an empty husk of what used to be the thing that you actually liked. And the only reason you're going back to it is because part of you wants to feel like a kid again, feel a little bit younger. But it never works. You're just giving your money to this massive corporation that is, again, I have to reiterate this, trying to make money based off of your memories. It's stupid to buy into that. Go watch something new. Go create something new. Don't buy into these stupid rehashes they keep doing, especially if it's clear as day like this How to Train Your Dragon one is, that they are just trying to do the exact same thing again. They're not trying to make it more mature. They're not trying to bring in a new director, a new visionary. They're not trying to do a new spin on the story. They're not going to switch it around. At least with Ghostbusters 2016, they switched it around a little bit. It sucked, but we had new characters. There was a laugh probably once or twice in there for some people. That's okay. But this is probably just going to be the exact same thing churned out all over again. I hope I'm wrong. I genuinely hope I'm wrong. I hope they do something new with it, but they won't. I'm very, very confident that they won't. And that's where I'll leave it. That one turned into a real deal rant. I apologize for that, but It's just stupid to me. It's stupid to me that people are buying into these live action remakes. It blows my mind. They're the worst of the worst. They are the epitome of studio laziness and greed. I hate them with a burning passion, and I sincerely hope the people making the decisions, like Jon Favreau at Disney, the people making the decisions to do these rehashes, they should be fired. They're creatively bankrupt. I mean, what else can you say? They're trying to do the exact same thing again, but worse, but with the same music, and maybe bring back a voice actor, you know, just play to their nostalgia and their memories and make money that way. That's not art. That's like laziness incarnate. It sucks. I hate it so much. I'm back to this loop of just describing my hatred for it. But that's where we'll leave it. That's where the news ends today, everybody. What a month. February, the shortest month of the year, and I already wish I was dead. Thank you all very much for watching this video. Sorry there wasn't much positive news to talk about, but that's just the way the cookie crumbles today. Let me know what you think of all this news down in the comment section below. Was I too hard on the How to Train Your Dragon remake? Will Velma Season 2 be good? The Gorillaz, I mean, that got canceled. There isn't much to discuss. Did you think that was a good decision? You moron? Like, let me know what you think down in the comment section below. I will see you all next week for most likely something completely different. Like and subscribe to become a cow, and I will see you all next time. Goodbye.